Top story tonight, the Defence Ministry was the victim of a cyber attack earlier this month. Personal data of 850 national servicemen and employees was stolen in what MINDEF called a targeted and well-planned attack.
But the ministry said no classified data or passwords were compromised. Look, Kok Fai with more.
NRIC numbers, contact details and dates of birth. Such data was stolen in the cyber attack on MINDEF's iNet system, linked to thousands of computer terminals in the ministry and the Singapore Armed Forces. iNet provides internet access and personal communication for MINDEF employees and national servicemen within ministry premises and the SAF camps. MINDEF said personal information stored on the system is required for account management purposes, such as to track use and surfing behavior. The compromised iNet system is one of several separate internet-connected systems in MINDEF. In turn, these systems are physically separated from military and other internal systems, which contain sensitive, classified data. Such systems are also disconnected from the internet and come with more stringent security features. According to MINDEF, the attack originated from the internet and not from an SAF camp, and was possibly aimed at gaining access to official secrets.
The attacks were targeted and well planned. Based on our investigations, they are not the work of casual hackers or criminal gangs. It's no secret that government agencies, including MINDEF, are prime targets, and we are under constant cyber attack. Because of this, we will need to continually be vigilant and improve our cyber defenses so that we remain resilient.
The affected server has since been disconnected from the system, with investigations carried out to determine the extent of the breach. MINDEF is also investigating its other systems as a precaution. Checks on other government systems have not detected further breaches so far. MINDEF said it will not cut off internet access for its personnel despite the incident, and will work towards strengthening its cyber defences instead. This is not the first time the Singapore government has been the target of a cyber attack. In 2014, the Foreign Affairs Ministry's IT system was breached. The Istana and Prime Minister's office websites were hacked in 2013.
And here to give us his analysis of the situation, we're joined by Tony Jarvis. He's Chief Strategist for Threat Prevention at Checkpoint Software Technologies. Tony, this isn't the first time the Singapore government's been targeted, isn't it? We've had attacks on MFA in 2014 and the PMO, Prime Minister's Office, in 2013. This latest attack, though, is on MINDEF. Should people be concerned and worried that it's happened to a ministry that's charged with Singapore's defence, assuming, of course, that MINDEF has top-level defence systems in place?
Not necessarily. There are a lot of attacks that are carried out for a lot of different reasons. Not all of them are successful, a very few are, and they're the ones that get the headlines. In this particular case, we know that an air-gapped system was put in place. And what that means, quite simply, is that there were multiple systems in place and they had no connectivity to any of the other systems. So by doing so, that means that any breach or attack to any part of that system was contained and the breach wasn't able to spread. So by structuring it in this way, they've contained and minimized the extent of the damage.
Tony, MINDEF says that personal data was stolen, NRIC numbers, names and so on. But does this not still pose a concern for national security, bearing in mind that that information could be used perhaps to access more sensitive information?
Some information was taken, that's correct. The amount of information was minimal, considering the number of systems that are available and the potential data to be taken. But a very good job has been done in mitigating the amount of damage done, reporting it and being very transparent about what has transpired, and there are a lot of controls in place. Certainly there are always more controls that can be put in place. We can always look back and say other things could have been done. But in this case, it seems that compared to what could have been the case, a very small amount of information has probably been leaked.
Well, Tony, we heard the MINDEF official earlier in that story talk about how these weren't casual attackers, or hackers rather, and he also did say it was rather well-planned attack. Do we have a sense of what kind of attackers these people could be? State-sponsored, perhaps?
There's a lot of different possibilities. At this stage, we don't have enough definitive information to say conclusively. What we do know is that there are attacks happening on a daily basis, and when we're talking generally across the board, doesn't matter whether it's government or private enterprise, the biggest issue I see is one of awareness, of not understanding the extent of the risk that we're facing. So a lot of people like to follow news stories and follow this sort of news with interest, which is great, but usually that's where the action stops.
Right.
There's no follow-up with putting additional systems in and making sure that we know that attackers are using very sophisticated tools and techniques. We also need to be using the best protections available to make sure that the damage doesn't happen to us.
Where we stand now, Tony, is that MINDEF has said that it won't cut off internet access, that it's instead going to strengthen its cyber defences. What would your priorities be at this moment?
My priorities would be looking at the system as a whole and conducting an evaluation of when we consider what would be 100% security, which we strive for. It's very, very hard, if not impossible to achieve, but that's our goal, identifying what the weaknesses are. It's a two-step process. You need to identify what the weaknesses are and then prioritise those weaknesses. So obviously you focus on the most noteworthy deficiencies first, build those up and repeat the process. And that's how we evolve our security over time. It's always a feedback loop. You need to know what's going wrong before you can fix it.
All right, Tony, thanks very much for that analysis. And thanks very much for being here tonight as well. We've been speaking with Tony Jarvis. He's Chief Strategist for Threat Prevention at Checkpoint Software Technologies.